The branding is on point, my friend. I have to give you a lot of credit at the moment.
I had to
Big
set this
stuff.
up just to make sure people know what we're talking about.
Super impressed. So yeah, I mean, dude, let's dig into it, right? I want to start off by saying to the audience in general, super impressed that you've made a career out of a passion. Obviously, I was a huge Pokemon fan as a kid, like just absolutely obsessed. So were many of my friends, and I feel like our entire generation was. So really amazing to see something that has so much nostalgia in it coming back in full force. So if you could just give us kind of like a rundown on how you've turned this into a career and how you became the Poke Father.
So the easiest way to explain it was I kind of fell into it. I got laid off in 2022, end of 2022, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing, and it was hard finding work. So what happened was is that I downloaded the app Whatnot, and I was just buying, on there, and I was like, you know what, I can do this too. And about 3 months later, I was streaming on Whatnot, buying cards, selling cards, things like that. And then I would say a month into being on Whatnot, I was presented with an opportunity to go to Japan to be someone's assistant. So this is April 2023. And that really got me. I went down the rabbit hole at that point. So we were in Japan for 2 weeks. I went through tens of thousands of cards while I was there, learning all different types, learning the culture. Because Pokemon is a culture thing in Japan, actually. Like you'll see
Sure.
guys that are dressed in their suits right after work, they're going to the card shop. And it's a weird it's a different type of lifestyle there, but it's definitely cool to see, especially coming from someone that, it's a hobby for us, but it's a lifestyle for them.
Totally. Uh,
Yeah.
so okay, so let me just confirm though, as a child, you were super into it, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I was the only reason why I stopped collecting Pokemon was because Yu-Gi-Oh came out and that pulled me away from Pokemon.
right.
If I never did Yu-Gi-Oh, I would have been in Pokemon till this day.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was a big Dragon Ball Z guy myself when it comes
Yes.
to just like overall like phases of life. But so let's dig in the sense of like Pokemon is a full economy, right? Like, how did you figure out through this, time in Japan and just overall through your time doing this, how do you figure out what a card's worth? How do you make sure that what you're buying is legit? Like, tell us a little bit about the ins and outs without giving too many of the aces up your sleeve. Like, how do you go about verification processes and valuation processes?
Okay, so let's start from the base, the actual card. You can tell based off the texture on the card sometimes, the gloss. The easiest way to check the card is if you rip it in half, there should be black ink on the inside. That's how you know it's real. Obviously, you can't always do that, then you ruin the card.
Right,
But there's other ways to go about it. You can tell based off of, just how the printing on the card is, things like that. It happened to me before. I bought fake cards by accident, and you live and you learn.
right.
But overall, it's the best way to go about it is always confirm your product's real before even, checking values on something.
Of course.
After that, then there's multiple apps that you can use. So we'll start in tiers. If it's a raw card that's not graded, like, the card that you bought from me, is a graded card. So before it gets to grading, I would use TCG Player or Price Charting. Those are two apps that you can use to determine the value of the card.
Okay.
Once the card is graded, I use Alt, which is ALT. That's the app. You scan the card. It'll tell you the value of the card based off recent comps of what's sold on eBay, Fanatics, PWCC. These are all auction websites. So that's how you determine the comps of, and value of the card.
Right. Cool.
And at the end of the day, it's crazy to see people spending tens of thousands of dollars on a piece of cardboard,
Of course,
but it's a value.
and I think actually on a prior phone call with you, you said something that really resonated with me. Like, this is our generation's, Van Gogh. This is our
This is our artwork.
this
This
is
is
our
this is what
artwork.
we go when we go to these card shows. People go to an art museum to look at artwork. We go to card shows to look at the artwork on the cards.
100%. So with that in mind, when it comes to the art museum element of things, what is the rarest card you've ever been around, and what is the most valuable card that you've ever sold so far?
So, my rarest card that I ever held, well, that I ever owned was a Black Label Umbreon VMAX. So I bought the card off eBay for really cheap. I got lucky. The guy wasn't scamming me or anything like that. I sent it out. I was sending it out for grading, and my guy that does my grading, Noah at DZ Collectibles, local to me, he's like, "No, I'm going to send this to Beckett Grading instead of PSA." There's multiple grading companies. There's PSA, Beckett, CGC. PSA is the number one, but for certain cards, you want to use Beckett.
Okay.
And he's like, no, we're gonna send it to Beckett. So fast forward 3 months later, he calls me while I'm in Japan, actually.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, he's like, you owe me dinner. I'm like, why? He's like, well, you hit a black label. So what a black label is that it's a perfect grade. There's four different scores. And you got 10, 10, 10, 10. And it comes in a cool case that says Black Label Umbreon. And that was worth at the time that I graded it, it was worth about $13,000. And then when I sold it 2 years later, I sold it for about 14,000.
That's amazing.
Um, but it was a huge come up. I had a
Yeah.
40x. It was a crazy experience. But
Right.
that was my biggest sale.
That's amazing.
Um, yeah, and then the rarest card I've ever held was there's these trophy cards that they have. There's like I would say maybe 6 or 7 of them ever printed. Those are worth like a million plus, which is crazy.
It's insane. But it's also like it makes sense, right? One of the things I love about the Pokemon economy is that it's not an NFT; it's a physical object, right? Like it is
Yes.
tangible, and it has, like I said, the nostalgia attached to it of a buyer generation. I mean, now we are old enough that we're all in a part of our careers where we can afford to buy the things that we couldn't get as kids, right? That's why I bought the Charizard from you, right? Because I
Yeah.
always wanted a Charizard. What is so interesting to me is kind of this next tier behind the curtain of the seller of wow, there are multiple gradings, multiple ways to legitimize your card and verify your card, as well as also evaluate what you're working with, and it seems like how much work on your side comes from you just scouring the internet to find cards that you might be able to get that massive profit margin on so that the seller doesn't know, right? Like they don't have an idea of what they have, right? So
Yeah.
how did you find that card? You were just like scrolling through eBay for hours?
No, it was just by chance someone on what when I was on Whatnot, someone asked me, "Hey, are you buying cards?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could take a look at what they have." And it was just someone that was looking to offload, the card. And if you're watching this video, sorry, I did get a black label, but
But at the same time,
yeah,
not sorry, right? That would have just stayed in their basement, right?
yeah,
Like what I actually think is really cool about what you do is that you're digging for gold in many ways, and I don't feel like you took advantage of that person because I think once again they made money on a card they didn't know was worth what it was worth, right? How many people sell these really expensive paintings at garage sales, and then
yeah,
the knowledgeable buyer flips it, makes a shitload of money, right? Like that's because
yeah.
you're knowledgeable. So I in no way think it's taken advantage of the seller. I think what's so cool about it actually is the knowledge involved with being able to actually sell a card, right? Like a card for $14,000, $13,000. Like, dude, that's sick. So now let's kind of like use that as a transition point of just saying, okay, so now you go to these conferences, right? Now you're in a room of knowledgeable people. So does it become harder or easier to buy and sell when the audience knows almost as much as you do? You know what I mean? Or when the customer knows just as much as you do?
Yes, so I'm a man of my word and my word is my integrity in the sense like I'm not out there to screw people. So when it comes to the shows, I like being fully transparent. Like some people will mark their cards up and they'll be like, "Well, that's what I want to sell it at." For me, I tell people I was like, I have that price at a certain price point because I don't want to sell it. I was like, if you really want it, by all means, buy it at that sticker price. And if they want to counter, and that's the whole point of this, what we're doing, we're bartering, shoot me an offer if you really want it, and I could consider it, and I always run comps, comparatives, even right before I sell the card. Even if the sticker says 8,000 and okay, the most recent comp is 7.5, I'll be like, okay, I'll match the most recent comp. And I like to be, fully transparent with my customers.
Totally get that, man. I
Yeah.
love that about you, man. I could. from the college days, just kind of knew in that integrity sense, I would have been able to say that by myself, just knowing you. But
I
it's
appreciate that.
cool
Thank you.
that you can speak to that. And, I'm sure there are a lot of people, unfortunately, in any economy that do take advantage of people. So it's cool.
Yeah.
You can be, someone that anyone can look to say, hey, this guy gives legit prices and tries to do it in the right way. Right. So cheers to you for that, because, a lot of people don't do it that way. So when it comes to our generation, right, it seems like there are tiers of Pokemon, right?
Mhm.
Like generationally speaking. And what I'm interested by is what are the different age groups of your buyers, right? Like demographic wise. Is it people our age, or is it people younger than us? Is it people older than us? Like, what is your typical average customer's age and kind of profile, as it were?
So when I first started, I was dealing with mostly middle, like our age. I would say 30-year-olds because I was
Don't call
dealing
us
with
middle
higher
age,
end.
Ryan. Don't
I
call us
know.
middle age. We're
I
young.
was like, all right,
We're
30-year-olds.
young people. So continue.
But yeah, the younger generation, I was dealing with more so because I wasn't dealing with, dollar, $2 cards. But now that I've been in the business for about 3 years now, I've, widened my variety of cards. I have dollar cards, I have $10,000 cards. And
Okay.
I want to make sure that there's something, if someone comes by my table, okay, they might not be able to afford a $10,000 card, but hey, there's still cards for kids to pick up, packs to rip. I try and keep it open because at the end of the day, if you're only going in with one demographic of buyer,
Totally.
you're bottlenecking your income in that sense.
Do you do most of your sales at these conferences or online? Like, or is it a little bit of both?
So most of my sales come from in-person venues, like
Right.
we're at the card shows. I've been trying to ramp up my social media and posting more on Instagram. That's
Yeah.
how you saw everything.
I found my chart card. Yeah.
But most of the time, it's in-person shows.
Okay. So that's really interesting to me. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because that's where the target audience is, right? They're like, this is my hot spot. I'm going here. I plan on getting a card, so I'm going to be a buyer that day.
Exactly.
Um, so do you find that like without asking you how much you make on Pokemon, let's
Mhm.
talk about how much a seller can make on Pokemon cards
Yeah.
annually. What, like, obviously, I mean, you have some $10,000 cards. I'm thinking to myself, if you sell $10,000 cards at one conference, Ryan's a happy guy. And also,
Yeah.
like, this is really, really good income. Is this something that someone can do full time, like on an entrepreneurial level?
So I always tell people, do not do this business unless you can be financially stable. I'm lucky enough where, my wife, she's a nurse. She helps me, it's not like I'm breaking the piggy bank to, just do Pokemon and risking my, livelihood. I can't pay my mortgage. I don't recommend that to people. And a lot of people try and do it. They just buy cards and try and sell it when, you have to make sure your margins are there. I compare it to real estate. That's where I come from. I'm a real estate paralegal
Right.
and I do fix and flips. So if as let's say you buy the car for 500 and you're selling it for 1,000, okay, my margins are there. But if you're buying the car for $5 and you're selling it for six, you're not it's not worth it.
Totally. So, okay, so to that point, similar to kind of any investing tactic, you do need some buy-in to be able to really get in game here.
Yes.
But that being said, and also considering the context of your situation, it is something that you can do if you have the ability to wait out a storm of not selling a card for X amount of time.
Yes.
You do have the opportunity to actually make, like, we could say confidently that a card seller who has good money to invest and good knowledge could make over six figures annually. Is that
Yes. And there's a lot of Pokemon traders out there or vendors that do it. Um And it all depends. You have to have the capital. That's the easiest way to put it. Because people that want to sell their cards, if you have the capital and you're offering them, okay, well, it's $12,000, I'll give you 10,000 cash right now, they're
yeah,
more likely to take it,
right, right.
And
I mean,
that's where it comes down to.
so now this is more just like off the cuff question as we have this conversation. I'm curious, is there a world where someone like yourself would take on investors? Say, hey, Ryan, I want to give you 10 grand, invested in Pokemon cards and flip it for me.
So
And
that's
then
a project I'm working on actually.
let's like split the profit. Like, so is that a thing in your world or
It's a project I'm working on.
okay?
I'm looking to build like an similar to like crypto. You know,
Right.
you're buying a piece of the pie
Totally.
in a sense, and it's going up, it's going down. Um, I'm look, you know, it's a work in progress. It's something I'm working on personally. I'm looking for investors in that sense. But again, we're at a point where Pokemon is at it's a bubble. We don't know how hard it's going to fall when the bubble pops. Because right now everything's at an all-time high.
Oh,
I
is
tell
it?
that to everyone,
Oh,
right?
is it? Interesting.
Right now it's a crazy time. Scalpers are buying up all the sealed product and people can't get their hands on it. Like retail, a box is selling for like 26 bucks for 151. That's a set that came out. But if you market value is $100, but scalpers are buying it for 26. So
Good
they're
mark.
taking away from the actual collectors in the hobby, which, you know, I don't care for, but it's a double-edged sword. If you didn't have the scalpers, we would not be in the business
The
right now.
value wouldn't be. Yeah, it's kind of
Exactly.
it is a double-edged sword. It's a good way of putting it because just like in all industries, scarcity is value, right?
Exactly.
So the fact that they're doing that and taking things off market makes people more thirsty for the cards that you might have. So
Exactly.
definitely I could see that being kind of a tug of both you feeling like it's messed up, but also seeing that it helps your end game, right? In a way financially.
And the way I battle that is I don't scalp, but I will buy product from scalpers. Yeah, I'm paying a
Understood.
premium, but I'm getting the product out to people that will actually want to buy it. Scalpers are buying it, holding it, or they're buying it and selling for a crazy premium.
So what's super interesting to me and I think what's resonating with me with what you just said too is just like the fact that you're saying that it's a bubble when, for example, I one of the people after I bought my Charizard, one of the people that reached out to me was my dad's buddy, who his kid is like 7, and he is like upset with this Arceus.
Arceus, yeah,
Arceus.
yeah, Arceus, yeah.
He's like obsessed, right? But so then I'm like, to me, that's indicative of this thing's gonna last because
You have a
the
7-year-old.
still
Yeah,
youthful generations are obsessed with it, similar to the way that we were as kids. To me,
yeah,
that's like intrinsic value that is everlasting, right? Because then when that kid's 30, when he's young like us, Ryan, when
exactly.
that kid's in his 30s, he will then have the money to then buy Arceus, right?
Yeah.
And like at a premium, right? So part of me wonders, obviously, with all markets, with all economies, with all investments, you do have to be kind of like aware of the possibility of the value dropping. But it also feels like Pokemon has been valuable since Pokemon came out, right?
Yes. So the way to explain that is I would have to give a little bit of credit to Logan Paul. Logan Paul put
For
Pokemon
sure.
on the
Yeah.
map because of COVID.
He bought that
When
Charizard.
COVID happened, when he bought that Charizard, everyone jumped back into the hobby
Right.
and it blew up. And then I would say the bubble popped again. It dipped back in 2023 when I got back into it. And now we're back up on that upturn. You know, everything you can't get stuff in like you can't get stuff in Target. In New
Right.
York, they don't even sell Pokemon that much in Target because there were people fighting in the parking lot over
I've
it.
seen videos, man. That's part of the reason why I was super excited about this interview was like it's been a wild, wild west for so long, right? Like because once again, same thing that I feel about many other viral, like this isn't Labubu's, right? Because that has already died in many ways. Like their value dropped so substantially so fast. Beanie Babies came and left, right? And there's still value, but it's not what it used to be. Pokemon thrives, and yeah, it dips, but it thrives for 30 years now, right? 30 plus years now. So
It's
I
going
think
to be 30 next year is our 30th anniversary. So that's
that's
like everyone's like the bubble's going to pop, but you have a 30th anniversary coming. I don't see the bubble popping.
Yeah, man, I really don't either. I guess that's like just given the context of like how long it's been around and it continues to have resurgences. Logan Paul is an example of what will happen again in the future, I think, right? Because there will be more and more people that are like, damn, like, I really wanted that card, right? At different values. I think it's really cool that you have cards for $1, cards for 10,000 because overall, I think there's a massive range of people that appreciate Pokemon, like, and
Yeah.
I never, I in my life probably have tried to play the actual game of
Oh, and I
Pokemon
couldn't do it.
like
Yeah.
5 times. I was like, yeah, no, I just want the cards, right? So, but like, I definitely love the world. I mean, I love the Nintendo games, Pokemon
Oh,
Snap
that I'll
and stuff.
play all day. Yeah.
And I think just like when it comes to the world that they built, it just has this value that I think is everlasting. That's why I think people like you are really savvy, man. I actually find you to be like extremely savvy. I think I think it's awesome you took an entrepreneurial approach to a passion. I think it's really cool that your previous work experience actually kind of is your compass for your current approach, right, to Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I think it's just amazing what you're doing. I think inherently you will grow your social media quickly because it's viral in its own sense. Like when you have the right cards and you have the cards that you're showing and displaying, you raise eyebrows. And I think that's what social media is all about. One of my favorite quotes is like looking for when it comes to a thumbnail or something like that, coming up with a purple cow, like something that's going to stop the scroll. I
Hmm.
think what you're set up for is that Pokemon already does, right? Especially to the audience that's interested. So I definitely think that you're onto something, man. And I'm just super impressed that you took a risk. I just posted this yesterday, but I'm a big fan of people that are willing to bet on themselves. And I think you bet on yourself. And I just think it's
Thank you.
badass, man. I really
I
do think it's
appreciate
badass.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fully, so I was working on Wall Street as a real estate paralegal downtown back in February, and I just was not liking what I was doing. It was my dream job, and just wasn't for me. I was like, I'm not happy. I'm not seeing my kids. This isn't what I want to do. And I was doing Pokemon on the side as like
Passion,
my gravy money.
right.
And I just kind of was like, you know what, I think I see the money I can make on this.
Yeah.
So and it doesn't feel like a day of work if you love what you do. That's the way I look at it.
Preach, brother. Tell me this, man. I'm super interested as we get close to concluding in time. And I would love to do a part two if you're down.
Yeah, please,
But
please.
but I'm super curious. What's the card that you're itching for? Like is there a card that you search the internet day and night to attain and potentially not sell? Like, is there a card that you're like, I friggin' want this card and I can't find it?
So it's a Lugia from Aquapolis. I want a PSA 10 and it goes for I think like 20 grand right now. And
Right.
it's like I had it in Japanese, but not in English.
And
So now I want it in English.
is there a difference in value between Japanese and English cards?
So it all depends. If it's a Japanese exclusive card, it's worth more in Japanese. If it's only in English, it's worth more in English. But if they have both, usually English is more because Japanese back in the day, you were guaranteed pulls in their packs. With
Oh,
English, you're not guaranteed anything, so it's
okay.
harder to pull those.
Classic America.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. You know
so,
how it goes.
but I have, whenever I find it, I'll text you a picture. I have a Japanese Blastoids. I think I've
Okay.
told you about. Definitely not like none of my cards are in mint condition because I mess around.
Yeah.
But and I also had a pretty good condition Zapdos holographic
Okay.
card. I had Machamp, but I feel like everybody had Machamp.
Yeah, everyone has the champ.
Everybody's got Machamp. I also had a Raichu like holographic.
Okay.
So
Okay.
once I find them, man, I'm super curious just to also, that's kind of what, when I find them, I want to do part two with you to be like, what are these worth? And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm going to probably need to like send you them so that you can figure out what they're worth or something.
Well,
Uh,
I'll come down to Philly area and we'll get together and we'll do a collab in person.
Sweet, man. Yeah. And then, I can maybe get some footage of you using that app. Uh,
Yeah.
because, like, once again, man, so many people have gold in their basement somewhere,
They
right?
do.
And
They really do.
I think that's what's so cool about what you do in this world is like you can make paper gold. And
That's what I tell
that's
people. You're
friggin'
sitting on shiny cardboard that's worth a lot of money. You might as well put it towards something that you want, right?
yeah. I invest in gold, right? Like literally. And I am a believer of tangible assets. And I just think Pokemon is similar. Like I think it's like this very cool thing. And I think people like yourself who can determine, create, and sell the value of a card for the the worth of an ounce of gold in many cases or much more, I just think is extremely incredible, man. So kudos to you. And
Thank you. I appreciate
I've been so pissed trying to find these cards. ever since I bought the Charizard from you because I just wanted to have it for this interview. But we'll just do a part two, uh,
Yeah.
and definitely like we'll continue to keep the ball rolling. I want to continue to support what you're up to because I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're
please. And you're local to me, so it's like if I come down to a card show, there's card shows in Fishtown, things like that. So
hell yeah,
we'll
man.
definitely keep in contact.
I would love that. And, we'll, definitely get you in the magazine. I'll definitely pull this content together, get a bunch of social media posts out there. And just for our audience for part one, can you give us just kind of like general contact information? Give me your Instagram handle, and, all the things so that people that watch this who do want to buy a card from you or ask you questions can reach out.
Yeah, it's the Pokefather, the underscore Pokefather on Instagram. And then yeah, from there you can contact me. I post all of my, when I'm selling cards or next venue I'm gonna be at,
Yep.
things like that. But yeah, contact me on Instagram. That's the easiest way.
And it sounds like website coming soon from our previous conversation.
Yes, website coming soon. I'm still in the process of building that out. I want to make sure I have enough product so people are on there. It's not saying sold out all the time.
Totally. Although scarcity sells, my friend. But
Yeah.
the one question I actually, before we end, that I'll just put this more in the middle, just because I forgot to ask it. But I was up at 3 a.m. as you know, because I was messaging you last night. Um, can you sell Pokemon cards on Spotify or Shopify? Like, if you have a website, can you have a Shopify? Can you sell on there, or do you have to sell in these other, areas?
No, you do it through Shopify. I
Yeah.
I would build my website through with Shopify and it would go straight from Shopify. You could put all the information in there. That's how so I'll give a little shout out to my friend DZ Collectibles. They taught me a lot. They use Shopify. They're a local shop in Long Island. They do all my grading. They taught me how to, most of his buyers come from his online platform because it's just easy, user
Yeah.
friendly. So
So
that's how I connect it.
okay, but so what are the taxes? Are there different taxes on selling Pokemon cards? And also, is there any legal element? I don't have to feature this. I'm just curious. Is there any legal
Yeah.
element to resale? Like, or is it totally kosher to resale? Like
So it's kosher to resell. You just so when you're buying it, you're not paying sales tax up front. You have to collect sales tax at the end when
when
you're
you claim
selling it
your
on
income.
Shopify.
Right.
Yeah, which is why you use Shopify because they collect it for you.
And
You
you
don't
don't
have to
even
worry
have to
about
do
that. And
okay.
then you pay a fee. I think it's 2.5 or 3% with Shopify.